When you think of the deep ocean, what do you think of? Do you think it is dark and mysterious? If you do, that opinion is very valid, but the ocean is very vast in diversity. Today we will be talking about the life of deep ocean creatures. My name is Catherine Villiers and I'm a student at Abraham Baldwin Agricultural College. The three main points we will be discussing today are three species that thrive in the deep ocean, how species within the deep survive, and how humans affect deep ocean species. To begin, I just wanted to talk about a person named James Cameron. James Cameron holds the record for the deepest dive, diving over 35,000 feet into the Mariana Trench. Here's a picture of his submarine and some of the stations labeled on the submarine. Some of these stations include a stabilizer fin, an 8-foot panel of lights, and the pilot's chamber is here at the very bottom. Now we're going to talk about a few species that thrive within the ocean, within the deep ocean. The first species is the hatchetfish. The hatchetfish gets its name because of its hatchet-like structure. It has the ability to use bioluminescence, which is something we will discuss later in the presentation. And it has a very short lifespan, but it balances that short lifespan by laying very many eggs at a time, sometimes over hundreds of eggs at a time. The next fish we're going to be talking about is the angler. It has a very large head with very small beady eyes and a small tail. You can tell if the angler is a male or a female because the male has a very long bioluminescent structure that reaches behind its head, and the female's structure hangs in front of its head. It has very long needle-like teeth, and this is actually a scene out of Finding Nemo. But for example, this is how the structure lights up. This is the Richardson's ray. It does not usually thrive where other rays live. Normally rays live in shallow waters near the coast, but this Richardson ray lives over 1,000 feet below the ocean surface. It's only approximately 5 feet in length. It's much smaller than other rays, such as manta rays. It mainly feeds on shrimp and other things that it can just scavenger along the ocean floor. And it's actually very mysterious because this is mainly the only things that scientists know about the Richardson's ray according to the Red List. Now we're going to talk about how deep sea creatures survive so far down in the deep. Through adaptation and evolution, fish have just generally become smaller to balance out the amount of pressure. So over the years to come, fish may become smaller and smaller within the ocean. It's known that scientists have actually seen, or that there has been documentation of larger anglerfishes way back in the time, but there's no proof of it, and the anglerfish now is only about a foot long, and it's getting smaller. They're normally very much smaller than that. So another way that deep ocean sea creatures live and survive is by using bioluminescence. Most deep sea creatures use bioluminescence in some type of way. It's actually a chemical reaction that takes place within the fish. There's a chemical in the ocean and there's a chemical inside the fish, and the fish can use this as to their advantage and make this chemical reaction work, and it glows. It's used to attract, distract, and scare away prey. And one example of one of the animals using this bioluminescence is the anglerfish that we mentioned earlier. So life in the darkness. This black screen normally is the only thing that deep ocean creatures see on a daily basis, except some bioluminescent features of other sea creatures. There are no plants within the deep ocean because there's no sunlight and there's no photosynthesis. With no plants, the oxygen levels are much lower, and the fish have had to learn and thrive to adapt to this. And they are adapting more and more each day to this. So now we're going to talk about how humans affect deep ocean creatures. So littering is a main problem in all species within the ocean. Although we mainly think about it being top water and we see litter floating within the tops of the oceans, this litter eventually sinks down to the bottom of the ocean, and most of these deep sea species end up being affected by these littering problems. And the fish can end up eating litter, but due to their size, even though the Richardson ray is over 5 foot long, being that it normally only eats shrimp and small creatures of that size, if it was to eat something the size of this bottle holder, then it probably would not be able to pass it. It would probably choke on it, and it would probably cause the death of that species, and that happens to very many species within the deep ocean. So global warming is another thing that humans are affecting more and more each day. So global warming is putting more carbon dioxide into the air. That carbon dioxide gets into the ocean. It makes water levels not only more acidic, but because there are no plants within the ocean floor, carbon dioxide levels are rising more. There's no plants to even those carbon dioxide levels out along the ocean floor, so the ocean's becoming more acidic. Oxygen levels are decreasing due to no plants on the ocean floor. So with no plants, humans are the only way that process could balance out at all, due to there's no other aspects that could possibly balance that out. So in conclusion, the ocean is a very interesting place. It's important to inform more and more people about deep ocean and species within the deep ocean, because the more minds that think about this deep ocean and all of the puzzle pieces that haven't been found, the more we could get more information on it. We need to inform more of the younger minds, because they are our future and they will have more technology and resources to actually be able to do more exploration and more species studying and things like that. So I would also like to touch on that there's a lot of biodiversity in the ocean. That is just something a lot of people don't realize, is that there are creatures all over the place. Most of the creatures are actually very small. Most of them are actually microscopic, whether it's a phytoplankton or anything like that. They're very small, so people don't think about the microscopic organisms, but there are actually tons of actual organisms and species within the deep ocean that scientists haven't even discovered yet. So I just want y'all to think about what we learned today, and I hope you have learned something from this presentation, and I hope you can also think about how we as humans can make the ocean a safer place for top water creatures and deep ocean creatures. And here's my reference page. Thank you.